my being up here is the result of quite a bit of self-mentoring because Bianca asked me to be a speaker at this plenary 2 days ago. So I wrote my talk at midnight last night, and I'm glad that I woke up because I had insomnia because of jet lag. So I know, this sounds like I haven't planned at all, but I spent actually 2 months preparing for the talk that I gave yesterday on mentorship, and I spent somewhat less time preparing this talk. So I'm being transparent with you because I want to let you know that even though I've only spent this much time preparing it, I think that the central message is important, it's relevant, and I'm excited to give it to you. Also, it's a little bit of a phishing attack because even though my title of my speech says how to unlock the potential of half the world by being a mentor, there is a hidden agenda. So I hope you enjoy what I have to say. So I want to start off by saying that it's been a privilege to meet as many of the women that I have the last couple of days. And when Ambassador Mosbacher spoke of the McKinsey report and how $12 trillion could be put into the economy by empowering women in the economic sector, I was really encouraged to hear that number because in the World Economic Forum report on the gender gap, we're actually 217 years away from reaching that goal. So it's a little bit late for us, but what I want to do is speak about how mentorship can influence the areas that actually can powerfully influence change and bring about this great influx of talent to the workplace. Mentoring is a feminist, oh, thank you. I don't know what that did, but I hope it helped. Mentoring is a feminist act. In its highest form, mentoring is a feminist act. And what I mean by that is by encouraging, not just encouraging women, but helping them work through the kind of mind traps that we constantly find ourselves in. We are advancing this goal to close the gap on economic opportunity. Let me give you an example from my life. I was talking to a journalist yesterday, and she wanted to talk to me about feminism, and people do not like feminism. They do not want to be associated with feminism. Even in the crowd of this room, I hear people very much downplaying the association with feminism, and I think there are some real misconceptions about what feminism is. So I'm going to give you a little encapsulation of feminism so that the next time this comes up for you, you can clear yourself out of any of the problems that come associated with feminism. One, feminism does not state that women are greater than men. So if people are getting hung up on the idea that we are trying to create a society where women dominate men, where women are essentially better than men, where men are somehow taking a subordinated role, this is not the mission of feminism at all. Nor is feminism special treatment of women. If you mean special treatment, treating us like actual human beings with rights and talents and goals of our own, well, I don't think of that as special treatment. I think of that as human treatment. What feminism actually is it's the promotion of the political, economic, personal, and social equality of everyone, not just men, not just women, not just the people who fall in categories that do not align with their biological identity. It is the right and privilege and responsibility of everyone to be their full self. And so feminism is not so much about women, but it is about everyone being their full selves. And mentorship is a way to encourage and bring out those qualities in each person who is mentored. So let's dive in, shall we? We aren't there yet, by the way. If you want to be less tired, get behind feminism. This is a pull quote from the book that I published, and the journalist that I spoke to yesterday said, hey, I'm really curious about what this means. What does it mean that I'll be less tired if I get behind feminism? So I'm going to share a little story. When I started a role about 4 years ago, I went through one of the worst crises of my life. My brother committed suicide. And this was just weeks after I had taken a role that was very high pressure, that there were high expectations on me. So I was trying to get into this new role, and I was trying to help my brother manage his life, manage the things that were going on for him that eventually led to him taking his own life. In addition to that, I was trying to help my mother, who was 90 years old at the time, cope with the emotional pressure of what was happening to her son. I was trying to show that I could perform and be the person that I was hired, and I was trying to do it all kind of under this cloak of, I've got this handled. I've handled this. I'm the person who can deal best with these things. I could deal with them alone. I don't need to, I don't need any support. What I really need is myself. And I found out over the coming weeks and months after that how wrong that thinking was. I crumbled. I did not live up to any of the things that I thought that I could do on my own. And I know that if I had been more transparent, if I had asked for support, if I had tried to be more human instead of trying to be strong, I would have served myself and everyone around me more. And so the promise of feminism is for women that you don't have to be the strongest person in the room. You do not have to take every last thing on. You will be better for everyone and the world if you ask for support instead of being the support of everyone. So if you want to be less tired, get behind feminism. If you want to stop proving that you're as good as a man, get behind feminism. So everything that Dr. Scholl said in her previous, in her presentation about bias and about the perception of excellence being equated with specifically white old men, there's a lot of pressure on women, and it's a false kind of logic that you have to prove yourself that you're as good as a man. And so this becomes one of those mind traps that women get themselves into, of having to always focus their efforts so they can prove themselves as good as a man. So when we were talking about, the resume thing, the job application thing, men are like, hey, I've got a few of these qualifications, I'm gonna go for it. Women are like, I don't know, I don't have every qualification. I don't know that I'm good enough. In the meantime, they're trying to bolster, it's like they're putting all this extra stuff in, they're carrying this bag of proof that they're good enough, that we are carrying a bag of proof that we are good enough, that men just skip along and they don't have to carry this bag. So it's a huge burden. And so, you cannot prove yourself to be good enough as a man, and being good enough as a man is not what you're called to do. What you're called to do is your true work, your true visionary work. It is authentic to you. So if you're caught up in proving yourself as good as a man, you are never going to focus on the thing that you are meant to do. You are never going to solve the world's problems. So as mentors, guiding the people that we work with away from the kind of thinking that they have to be as good as a man is going to change the world. So that's another reason why you should get behind feminism. If you want to live authentically instead of just fitting in, you should get behind feminism. So a lot of advice that some mentors give, and I would say that this is like the mentorship of a different era, and maybe it was appropriate at a different time, was that you need to find a way to package yourself so you are acceptable to your male colleagues. You have to find a better way to talk to them. You need to know what their triggers are. You need to know how to, maybe assert yourself more, or, tone it down because you're scaring them with being so out there. And maybe I'm scaring some of you in the audience right now, I'm not sure. But if you are spending all your time trying to package yourself perfectly so that you can be acceptable, so you can fit in, so that you can be even one of the boys, you are never going to do your best work. You are never going to contribute to the level that you can. So if you want to be authentic and stop fitting in, you should get behind feminism. If you want to stop fixing yourself, you should get behind feminism. Okay, so I want to just say it really clearly. You cannot self-improve your way outside, beyond gender bias. There is no amount of achievement that you can cross if you want to get beyond bias. Right now, there are people calling for Sheryl Sandberg to step down because of some, they're making an argument that the mistakes she made were personal, about her personal brand. Every time you look at a woman in power who has worked so hard to get where they are, you would think that they would finally have launched themselves beyond bias. But the fact of the matter is that regardless of the amount of achievement you have, it is not going to shield you from bias. It is still going to come and get you. And the promise of feminism is to work towards a society where we have put bias aside. So if you want to stop fixing yourself, you should get behind feminism. So in Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg said that if you want women to contribute to the level that they are able to, you need to make child rearing as important and as dignified as having a career outside. And if our world is going to survive, we still need to have children. I mean, maybe at a lower rate, but we still need to have children. And those children need to be brought up with love, and they need to be brought up with education, and they need to be instructed in how to, be part of a society that is growing and thriving. And in order to do that, they need parentage. But that is not to be the exclusive realm of women. This is the sort of thing that is coded language for lesser work. Women's work is considered to be lesser work. Until men can take up something as important as childcare and feel that they have pride and dignity in doing so, and that they are not going to be berated for it or thought that they have missed the boat, there is no way that women are ever going to be able to participate to the degree that we need them to. So if you want men to experience pride and dignity in childcare, you need to get behind feminism. So mentorship is really about imparting experience and helping people work with the mental traps that they put themselves in and helping them experience their greatest potential. But I have to be honest, you cannot give that to someone else if you do not give it to yourself. If you do not look at these things and see yourself in each one of them, if you do not see how these things influence yourself, you cannot mentor another person to rise to that either. So you need to give it to yourself. You need to live it to give it. So if you want to change the world, you need to become a mentor. You need to mentor women and men, to include each other, to collaborate, to bring their greatest genius and creativity to bear, to deal with the problems of the world together. And you need to get behind feminism. Thank you.